So first tell us how you ended up in this country yourselves.
Well, first of all, my name is Sajida Nelson. I am originally from Iraq. I worked as an interpreter with the American military, and I met my husband through that. I did have to leave the country for safety and also being persecuted for being Christian as well. So we fled to Sweden, and we were there as refugees. I lived in Sweden for 2.5 years, and then Chad and I worked things, and we got married, and I've been living here in the States for 8 years.
My name is Gary. Originally from Burma. Nowadays we call them Myanmar due to military dictatorship, like to change their country name to simply one day wake up and becoming Myanmar. So it's hard to accept, but because of the powers they have, military powers they have, we have to accept it. My parents flee Burma into Thailand. I normally refer to Burma because I used to call Burma. So my parents flee Burma into Thailand. I was born in a Thai small village and educated in Thai school. But due to the persecution of ethnic group in Burma, so my parents had to flee to Thailand. And same time you're in Thailand, you're not Thai citizenship, or the Thai wasn't accept you as their people. So I've been rejected from my original country into Thailand as well, been rejected by Thai government, and feel like nobody want me. And now I'm here in the United States, people welcoming me. I'm so happy, and I'm so glad that I have opportunity. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay. So let's get started. So I walk into a refugee's house for the first time. Me as an American, I'm not sure what to do. I walk in. What should I do?
So in the Middle Eastern culture, and especially if you're walking into a Muslim family home, most likely you will be shaking the father or the man's hand, which is very acceptable, but you don't, being a male, you don't go ahead and just reach to shake a female's hand. You can actually wait for her to reach to shake, or you can just say hello and introduce yourself. So that's a very important thing when you first walk into their home. Another thing, a lot of times, a lot of homes are shoeless, so you might have to take your shoes at the door. Sometimes it might be outside, sometimes it's you just go in and then you'll see a pile of shoes there. So you'll know for sure that you need to take your shoes off. And especially if they have kids as well. Just for cleanliness and not bringing everything from outside. Don't expect for a woman to open the door, if you're a male outside, to open the door for you. That's also another thing. Don't be offended if she don't open the door for you, or even if she opens the door and then she just stand there, talk to you, but she won't invite you in. That means that there is no man in the house. But for women, that's totally okay and totally fine.
You walk into a Korean from Burma. First off, we get used to handshake, but culturally, we do not do handshake, but since we exposed to a lot of Western and we are all male and female, you could do the handshake. And first off, the same thing, you open the door, take the shoes off, definitely you'll notice it right before you walk in the door, or the same thing when you walk into the door, next to the door, you'll see a ton of shoes taken off. And again, we have to accept that part of the Western culture, they not take off the shoes, so we okay with that. But appropriately, definitely take off the shoes is the respectful manner. Also, when you walk into the house, apartment, definitely you notice the kids will running around everywhere. It's a cultural thing. You'll see the kids running, and Korean, Burmese, we do have big family. Our family size from 5 to 8, 9, pretty common. So kids are everywhere.
So probably they will, after we do the greetings that you talked about, probably they'll, point to the couch, why don't you sit down? Then you're sitting there across from somebody. How do you start a conversation? What should you say?
As Middle Eastern culture, we really like to know about you and who you are, what you do, about your family. So it's just a way of like knowing you to be able to open up. So it's a big key to introduce yourself, to say a little bit about yourself and not expect them just to say a lot of things about themselves. Just being a new country, meeting new people, you don't just open up like that.
From different culture, from Korean culture, we have a different perspective. When you walk into someone's home, the Korean will tend to be shy. They do not talk a lot. And most likely, you become the person who initiating all the question and asking. They're pretty open to share their story, even the first time. But again, also definitely you want to introduce yourself, why you're here, what is you want to do to help the family. And after that, you could definitely ask them a question. Once they get to know you, they'll start sharing even more.
So something I learned already, usually we would start by asking them questions as Americans. We're talking about us talking about ourselves, sharing those about ourselves. Because why? That builds trust. I mean, how do you build trust with people?
It's one thing, just like building a company. Like how would you know that you're successful if you don't share about your company and what you do and why your product is the best in town? So why is your friendship going to be the best for them? That's when you share about yourself. That's where you build that trust in between you and them.
Time is important for our refugees family, specifically from Korean Burma community. They like to get to know you, and when you plan on visiting the Korean family, you definitely taking time is important. Not just like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, but you definitely want to prepare for 3 hours or something, so you can definitely get to know them better. It's just like 5 minutes stop by, you're not going to make friends with them.
So that's a hard thing for Americans. Usually they have in their minds, I can stay an hour. So what about the time? They want you to stay a long time. Maybe you have to go. How do you deal with that?
So a lot of times you walk in from the couch to the door to your car. It's a process because a lot of times they will walk with you to your car. So you might visit, we'll say, for 45 minutes or an hour. It's going to be another hour for you. So when you go, you need to know that, okay, I scheduled an hour. I'm supposed to be there for an hour, but plan 2 hours. And a lot of times if you say, okay, I'm here, I'm gonna have to leave at this time because I have other things that I need to get done, or I am going to meet friends or family. So they respect that, and you just say, I gotta go, and they're totally fine with that too.
Definitely the same thing with the Korean community. They do respect that. Also at the same time, they're hoping that you would take time with them longer at the visit. So once that you break the wall of it's difficult to break the wall of getting to know somebody. But when you do break that wall, definitely friendship from it would open up door to get to know this person more. And to break that friendship again is taking time and definitely planning, take them out to the park. Sometimes they're not even, I have people who've been here 5 years, I never have a chance to go to the park because the first day I landed here, I started working and I just have to provide support to find my family. It's difficult to hear those stories, and when you get to know them and taking time to take them to the park, it's amazing that happening.
So in my experience, usually when you go to a refugee's home, they put some kind of sweets down and tea, coffee, some pretty elaborate sometimes. So should I have brought a gift? Should I bring some kind of sweets? Or what should I bring something when I go for the first time or every time?
So for the first time, it is nice to bring just something little. That means a lot to them. Like you're going into their home, you don't know them, but yet you brought them a gift. So that's a big thing, that you're welcoming them, even they're not expecting it. And yes, every time you go, if there isn't food, there is gonna be some sweets, tea, or even coffee.
So what kind of things to bring them?
Try and always bring sweets or cookies, or even if you bring flowers, that also works too. But sweets and cookies, because these are things that everyone likes.
It's interesting. Every culture will have a different views. Don't bring flowers. I agree upfront. Bring something you can eat, like fruit, cookies, anything. So I definitely, when you visited them at their house, they know you're coming. They're not going to cook anything. They're not going to prepare anything. They will start cooking when you got there. And they'll get busy at that time. At the same time, maybe the wife or the husband start talking to you, the daughter or son will start cooking, or they're kind of taking turns. They will start cooking right there when you get there. So that's why it kind of takes time. Always you'll get food when you visit a refugee's family from Burma. Food is always available to you, and it's okay to say no, but if you take it, they would definitely like it a lot more, because they think that, okay, you are, even sometimes it tastes different. If you're told you don't like it, then just be upfront. I'm sorry, I can't take it. Sometimes it tastes different than what you expect.
By the way, we intentionally tried to do this, a man and a woman's perspective, Middle East and a kind of Southeast Asian. So are there certain things I really couldn't mess up on, I really need to avoid, I really should not do?
Yes. In our culture, we don't put the legs on the table, or we don't. When somebody sit there next to you, you don't just walk right in. It's considered really rude to Korean Burmese culture, and you don't touch somebody's hand. That is not okay
You
too.
don't point your foot at...
Yeah, don't point to someone. It's really rude.
I mean, it had happened in the past where in Iraq someone threw a shoe at, who was it? Yeah, so that is very offensive. So you don't sit and do this. And so that's, a lot of times we don't think about things like these, but these are important things. And like you can see the body language too. Like they might not tell you put your foot down, but they will, like you'll see a body reactions like this is in a way disrespectful, but at the same time if they don't know the American culture, then it's like, okay, I don't know how to approach you. So they might actually get up and move and sit elsewhere.
With Korean Burmese, they definitely accepting the culture of Western, because this is part of the society that we lived in, and we kind of tend to get that, but still offensive, but we okay with foreigner doing it to our house. So we kind of fine with that, but if somebody from your culture do that, then definitely no.
What about really sensitive questions like, what happened to you? How did you end up in this country? You know, is that for later in the relationship or what?
Yeah, that's something definitely you want them to open up, because you don't really know what they had to go through to get here or what was the reason to leave the country. And it doesn't matter where they're from, if they're from Iraq, Afghanistan, Burma, or even Soviet Union, just it doesn't really matter. And that's a very sensitive subject to ask. So it's always best to let these questions, although it eats in your heart, like I want to know, to leave it for later. Maybe your 5th or 6th visit, let them open up. So that's when they open up to you, that means you've already built that trust in between each other. And if maybe someone had a death in the family and that's why they had to leave, and a lot of times it happens right there in front of their eye. So you don't want those like things just to click and then like, okay, I don't want you, I don't want your help, I don't want to be friends with you. So people do react differently to questions like that. So definitely let them be the one who wants to share things like that. It is okay to ask, what did you do back home? What kind of work did you do? So these are the things that people really like to share and they're very proud of too.
They like to share about the culture. Definitely you could ask the culture, what is your traditional of doing in a Mother's Day? Or what do you do in Christmas? Or what do you do in Thanksgiving? All those questions are okay to ask, but definitely again, a personal story is definitely better for them to share once you get to know them later at the time.
What kind of things are good ideas to do with them? You know, once you get to know them, you want to go do some things outside of their home. You mentioned go to the park. Should we invite them to our homes? What would be other things to do?
You can always ask them what are the things that they enjoy doing, and then maybe do that with them. And then also you share with them what are the things that you enjoy doing yourself, and then do it with them, invite them. Like, simplest thing, everyone likes to go for a picnic because like there were big parks back home, and people will go like bring food and the kids will play, adults will like just hang out and socialize. So these are things that we like to do, as well as inviting them over to your home. A lot of times we feel, as Americans will say, it feels like, oh, I don't really know if I want to invite them over, but it is okay for you to go over. So it's you're going to their home, why not them come to your home as well? Although their home might not be at your standards, or maybe they'll think, oh, this is like a small home, and then for you, you might own your own house or your own apartment, and then you have the nicest stuff, and yet you might feel bad bringing them over. Actually, it's a good thing to bring them over to your home and show them around, because that's something you had to work toward to get there. It wasn't just given to you, right? You had to work hard to buy a home, or to buy the nice car that you have, or the nice boat if you have a boat, or maybe even a plane. I never know.
Yes, all Americans have planes.
I know a few of them that have planes. So it's that will give them actually. It would encourage them to work toward that, because it takes time. It doesn't matter where you're from. It takes time to get there.
And it really good opportunity for them to look at the big picture, to look at outside of their little bubble, because most of the Korean people, they live within the community, and basically they're so surrounded by the community, and then they think of, oh, I could do bigger. It just gives them a hope and give them a goal to set toward the thing that they can make and they can do. Definitely bring them to your home, and if your home nicer, then most of our clients normally they don't have a good home. First startup, normally we always tell them that the first apartment is not your dream home. You could work toward your dream home. So definitely bring them to your home and to see around. And this is something that they could also happen if they work hard toward their dream. Yeah.
What about talking about faith? Bringing up, we're followers of Jesus, and our churches, and all that kind of stuff. How does that work?
So, from personal experience, in Iraq, a lot of Muslims will go into churches, especially the Catholic Church. It is okay to share your faith, but you can start it as, do you go to church? Do you go to the mosque? Or how often do you go? Has anyone invited you to a church? Or even do you have a ride to the mosque? Because a lot of them, when they first get here, they might have to take the bus to go to the mosque. And I believe there's only one mosque here in Spokane. And they can't go because of transportation. So you can ask them questions about their faith, and they will open up to ask questions about yours. And back home, if a family couldn't have children, or they had something that they really wanted to have, or they were desperate, and that way they would actually go into church and they would lit a candle, and then they will ask for it right there at church. And once they have their children, and it was mostly like not having kids, and then they will go and ask, and then they'll have kids a little later, and they will name their kids like Mary, Isa, or just different names that are actually like from the Bible and they're Christian names. That's, if you hear names like that, that most likely that's why they named their child that name. So it won't be like Saleh or Muhammad or Ismail, so all these.
Majority of Korean that flee Burma is Christian because due to the religion persecution as well in Burma. But if you speak in a big whole as the Korean people, we are majority of them are Buddhism. But most of Buddhism are not persecuted. They are because of the religion, same as Burmese military, Burmese people. So majority of people who flee the country is Christian, and most of them here in Spokane are Christian. But I think the Christian came from generation and generation. Just because of the Christian, sometimes they definitely need more help from the believings. Like me, my parents are Christian, so I just follow my family going to church every day, and to knowing the real Jesus is definitely something that you have to look toward on your own. It's not that you follow your mom or your dad because you're Christian. So they're Christian, but definitely if you start get to know them real closer, then something that they're a lot more to work on than in their belief.
The times I've volunteered, I found it quite easy to have faith conversations with people about, you know, what do they believe? They're asking me, what do I believe? Do I go to church? Where do I go to church? What's it like? One was telling me about, you know, the Quran and holy books in Islam, and I'm telling them about our books, and it was, you know, went on and on. It was so easy because it seems to me people in other countries talk about religion all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it seems like we're the ones here that are like really sensitive about it. Am I reading that right?
No, that's correct. So back home, it was okay to talk about Islam or ask questions about Islam, but it was not okay for the Muslims to ask questions about Christianity. Because if the government will find out that, oh, you're trying to convert to Christianity, and then that person is long gone. So, and it had happened before, and like we've lost some dear friends to that. So when they find out it is okay to ask questions here, that's like there's this, it's almost like they're so thirsty and they just want to like drink because that was something that they've never had, or the kind of water they've never had. So totally okay, and just again, you might want to have the right time to ask questions like that too.
And speaking of Buddhism, Korean also have Buddhism, and here in Spokane we do have a small number. They're also pretty open, and they heard a lot of Christian, but because of the most of the Korean, when you become another religion, they're not going to go talk to you and to tell you to convert you to becoming a Christian. They just literally have a wall between Christian and Buddhist. So the Korean people will not cross the wall to go to talk to that person. I think that's something that we could work on as a Christian, which is not just because of you're Muslim or because of you're Christian or because of you're Buddha. I'm not going to go talk to you about your faith. It's definitely for Korean, from Burma, definitely it's okay to go talk to them about your belief, your faith. And even people from I heard it from my boss mentioned that once about the Korean person who is Buddhist. And why do you help me so much? I don't even know you. Why do you want to do so much to my family? Why do you want to help me so much? And it's just a question that the person who, I do it because Jesus told me to do so, my boss answered. And it's just something that I see that, wow, Korean people, why don't we go and talk to this person to know about Christ? And definitely, if we could have more people to help, it would be really great.
Thank you both.
Thank you.